Hi, this is Thomas Abrensen at InnerZone, and I'm gonna show you how to really get rid of a lot of stresses, discomfort, tensions, overload, injuries in your shoulder area. And before I start to go over trigger point pulls and things we can do, I also want to say that a lot of things, issues in our tissues and problems in our physicality really comes from poor relationship with the body. The strength relationship between muscles, the force transmission, between from what we think we're going to do to what we're doing it. So not going into details, but this is what I really would focus on to trace back and find the root cause, the real root of the symptom, the problem. So you don't end up having the same problem on the other side, or having another problem just moving it around into the body. Because if you don't have a really good relationship with your core functional line, lateral lines, all these lines of muscles that holds you together, especially if you're gonna do some very demanding activity, that can lead to injuries. So you can have like intuitive sense of when you're, for example, pushing something that you should stabilize your shoulder blade, but sometimes you don't have that intuitive sense and shit goes wrong. Anyways, we're gonna focus on 3 points. And the first point is the chest area. And this can be also one of the more important points why the shoulders sometimes are held forward in this position. The pectoral muscle, and you have a muscle under there called pectoralis minor, and that all these tendons and fascia from this minor can really drag the shoulder down. So the area we're gonna target is basically from the collarbone, this bone here, and we're gonna go under the bone, and from under the bone we're gonna go all the way, and you can really do this with your fingers. Do this with your fingers, go under the collarbone, close to your chest to the sternum, and start to just pull the skin all the way to your shoulder. And if this is painful, maybe you should just start with the fingers, massage, Rolf, just release that tension. And from here we're gonna have the ball on the meeting point of the chest muscle and the shoulder. So I'm showing it on the other side. First, we are gonna put the ball under the collarbone and simply lay down. You can lay on something softer, especially if you have breasts, if you're a female. And you can also maybe use tennis balls or other type of balls, even sometimes be creative, kettlebells, stones. But the good thing with balls that I'm going to show you now is that you can kind of roll it and use your own body weight. And as I go under my collarbone, I'm kind of using my whole body to roll under the collarbone, not all the way into my sternum, but I could if I would, all the way in and all the way out to my shoulder. And I need to be sensitive, have body awareness, but basically I'm gonna end up in the direction closer to my shoulder, and from this position I can start letting my shoulder sink and breathing up into my left shoulder, breathing into the armpit, deep into your belly as well, into your diaphragm. Relax as you breathe out and make yourself heavier. So you can press that shoulder deeper into the ball. And now you can also start to move your arm. My arm gonna probably be outside of the camera now. But if I move my arm, I can find some different fibers along where I need to stretch, where I need to open up more space. And when I find those fibers, I put my hand down and I can just do small movements, circular movements, but sometimes just going in the direction of the fibers itself is amazing. The pectoralis fibers goes pretty much lateral, I mean not lateral, I mean transverse. They go from the chest and out to the shoulder. So you can follow those fibers, and especially you will feel it if you follow the fibers under your collarbone. So this is a really good point to open up. And if you also want to have more strength in your chest, doing push-ups, bench presses, a lot of research support that not stretching itself, but at least opening up the fibers, opening up the perception of the nervous system into the muscles by triggering like this is hugely beneficial. You're increasing blood flow, and you also increases your nerves, gets more sensitive. So this is point 1. And now, of course, you're going to lay here longer if you feel needed. Point number 2 is basically moving on the side, just like this position here, and put the ball under between your shoulder and your lats. So latissimus dorsi, shoulder, and you're gonna really find the spot. But here it can be interesting because you can also move your arm. Let me move myself back first. So for some people, the trigger can really be just here. Maybe have a pillow or rest your head and just, oh, go into it. Stay with it, breathe with it. Don't forget to breathe. But sometimes it can be also really good to move, keeping that ball just in place there. Move your arm a little forward, and maybe you can trigger something there. Maybe you can also move your arm more down. So basically you're opening a lot of the attachment points to the lats into the shoulder, and you're also kind of going a little into the rotator cuffs. So if you have some damage here, you don't want to bruise your fibers in any way. You don't want to hurt it even further, but use a softer ball. If you don't have a softer ball, you can even have a ball and you can take like a sock, a wool sock around the ball, just make it softer. So the point is to feel into it and also go in a little of the direction of the fiber. It can be really good. And then just lay and start to breathe, because your breathing is amazing. You can access so much with your breathing, especially when you breathe more into your rib cage, into the lower ribs, left and right. Because of so many nerves are connected into that side of your ribs. And as you breathe out, all those nerves will be relaxed. And your brain gets relaxed. And then your digestive system gets relaxed. And then your muscles get relaxed. And everything gets relaxed and easily let go. And just sink into it. So you can also go a little back if you need. But we're gonna move to the backside anyway. And that point here, basically laying on our back, you can use a bigger ball, smaller ball. And you know, when people give you a massage on your shoulders, right where they put their thumb, that's the place we're gonna find. But we can also, because we have another muscle here, the trapezius, like a diamond shape going up here to the neck and continuing down to the spine. So we can follow the trapezius a little bit, and then we're gonna find not the collarbone, but the shoulder blade. So on top of the shoulder blade, if you lift your shoulder blade up and down, you're gonna feel 2 bumps probably. 1 bumps here and 1 bump more over here, but in between it can be good. And it can be also helpful to let that arm sink down. If you keep your arm here, it's so easy that the ball just pops out. But if you keep your arm a little bit up in the beginning, you get some friction and let it stay there. And I encourage to do movements, because movement also opens up different fiber direction, different muscular relationships. So basically almost pretending like you're reaching something up here when you have the ball in place, and take your elbow, slide it down into your rib cage almost, and see if you can reach up again. You can also take your arm more up, but the ball could pop out. So maybe stop here and down. And just experiment what type of ball would work. Sometimes a softer, bigger ball can maybe target the area better, go a little broader. Small balls can go kind of like sharp more into it. Bigger balls can go a little broader, and very soft balls can take like a huger surface area. So each ball have a different function. And when you go up and down like this, you're gonna feel it. And you can also touch a little bit into the rotators here, especially the top rotator cuff, and you can follow along. If you lift your hip, follow along a little bit side to the side. Let your hip just go side to side, and you can also push the weight through your feet and more into the ball itself. And if that doesn't give you enough pressure, then I don't know what. Just stay until it releases. So, now we do of course both sides of the body, but interesting can be to get more body awareness is to just do one side and just feel out what happens to the other side when you're breathing. Closing your eyes, being present in your body, and what happens when you breathe deep and broad. Relax, everything comes together, and it should be a big difference, because we don't breathe with our shoulder, but we use a lot of the secondary breathing muscles, the upper trapezius and the scalenes. So it can be a huge difference. And if this becomes a difference for you, it can also train your brain to become more aware of patterns that you can go into that are dysfunctional for you. And I think that is the number one thing also, to avoid pains, avoid unfunctional patterns in our body, by actually becoming aware of how we are holding ourselves, our posture, how we are actually moving ourselves, breathing, moving the breath deep. And when we become more and more aware of these things, we just automatically avoid things that will create discomfort and harm. So I hope this was useful. And of course, when I have courses and I have classes, I go much more deeper into details. Each specific muscle has specific reasons in relation to other type of muscles following the fascia. So this is kind of a little just introduction to what you can use the balls for. I presented in other videos the hips, the feet, and now is the shoulders turn. There is also the back that connects also into the shoulders, especially the shoulder blades, that I will go into in next video, because then we can put together the puzzle pieces, especially from what happens in our hip area and up to our shoulder blades. A lot of stuff's going on here. So please share, comment, and yeah, enjoy life.